I'm Courtney Lindbeck, and we are Video DIY. The title speaks for itself. We're creating do-it-yourself videos for citizen journalists. So basically, if a citizen journalist sees a tornado or a protest, they could watch our videos and go out and cover it to the best of their ability. These aren't your average iPhone video tutorials. We're not teaching you how to shoot with the iPhone. We're not teaching you how to hold it or any technical techniques. What we're teaching you is what shots you want to get, how to stay safe, and how to produce the best videos you could that could be used for news organizations. Hopefully these are definitely going to be showcased on the RJI website, and then one day we want to make them into an app where people can easily access them.
Yeah, so Mike kind of talked about why this is so important, but the average citizen now has a really high quality camera with them at all times. 56% of the US population had a smartphone last year, but that was 90% of 18 to 20-year-olds. So everyone's just carrying around this amazing tool. And news agencies are relying more on user-generated content, which is kind of part of the research that we did when we were looking into it. And I think this photo really illustrates how everything is changing. This is at the Papal Conclave. And so in 2005, you can see one or two cell phones, they're flip phones. And then 2013, every single person had a cell phone up or an iPad. And then also news agencies more and more aren't having the resources to send crews to every story. So it's a lot cheaper to just use what citizens are producing.
So we had to think of some topics to make videos. We had a list of 44 media companies that we had to research, and we had to contact them and find out what it is that they wanted from user-generated content. We researched their websites and their platforms to see how people could upload their videos and what they were basically getting. We talked to agencies, and we're still talking to them. For example, the Washington Post said that they would like to see more political coverage because they can't send their reporters to every single political speech or whatnot. So they're looking for more people in the crowd who can get reactions, or people who can get up close to the front and get as best video as they can.
Yeah, so after we looked at all of these websites, we took some topics that we thought would be the most useful for them. So our topics that we're making videos on are natural disasters, spot news, political coverage, protests and activism, and lifestyle and interviews. And so some of these were videos that we already saw people using. So for instance, CNN iReport has a really big build out where they're using cell phone videos, and they have a ton of weather coverage, so natural disasters. But then some of these are also, like she said, the Washington Post wanted more political coverage, so we also talked to people about that.
To get the content for these videos, we basically interviewed video professionals in Kansas City, St. Louis, here in Columbia. And what we did was we talked to them about what the best shots they would get, how to stay safe in these situations. And what we're doing with them is displaying them based on category. So there will be 5 videos covering each of these topics. We found these professionals in the field through Beth Pike, Mike Wheeler, through previous internships we had, as well as just connections we've made in the past. And we found some really great people who gave us some really good advice.
Yeah, so I can just go through and tell you who we've talked to. So Aaron Mermelstein, we talked to him in St. Louis, and he is a writer and producer for the Higher Education Channel. So his focus is more on features. So we got some good information from him about that, and also about practices for interviewing people, because that's also something that your average citizen journalist won't know a lot about. And we talked to Laz Avalos, who is a video photographer at KMBC in Kansas City, and he has been producing some really beautiful videos with his iPhone. He made one called Snowfall on just a big snowstorm in Kansas City, and he also uses his like a mobile camera. So I think another thing that's cool about our videos is they're not going to be specific to iPhone. It's just going to be in general if you have a cheap camera that can shoot good video. And then we talked to Bev Chapman, who is a former anchor and reporter at KMBC, and she's currently working on a documentary on a Colorado forest fire, and most of what she's using is actually mobile videos from people who were at the forest fire. So she has some amazing videos of people escaping from this forest fire and driving past people who are stuck in it, so she was a really great resource for that. We talked to Alex Fees, who is a award-winning television reporter and anchor at KSDK TV in St. Louis, and he's now working at the Melville School District, but he was really great for Spot News especially. And then Jerry, I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry, but she was a visiting professor of journalism at Stanford University who's teaching multimedia in the graduate program in journalism, and so she also, she worked on an earthquake project, so she was really great. Shayla Harris is the senior video producer at the New York Times, managing the production of many documentaries, enterprise, and news videos. And she talked to us about some natural disaster coverage too. And then Jim Thomas, who is a video photographer at KMOV TV in St. Louis. And we actually really valued our video photographers especially because they were really great about the technicality of you want to be wide, medium, tight, and talking about the stuff that we learn in journalism school that your average citizen journalist wouldn't know about.
So we just finished our interviews on Friday. Our finished project will hopefully be 1 minute and 30 to 2 minute videos. We're going to have Jim Flink narrate them and kind of set them up into our categories and then lead them into the tutorial. We'll have graphics, B-roll, and our completed interviews. So hopefully everyone will get a great idea of how to shoot these videos accurately and to the best of their ability. We have an example. We're working on our natural disaster videos right now. So the finished product will have Jim Flink, narration, but we're gonna give you a little idea of what these will look like.
In a natural disaster, you want to give the audience kind of a sense of the scope of the impact of the disaster.
You want excellent light, you want good sound, you want action and compelling scenes in your video.
Tight, medium, wide. You know, get a wide shot of the tornado crossing the field.
You want to sort of be able to get like a high vantage point or something like that that can show the audience the spread, the amount of impact that has had on this particular area of the country, state, city.
Anything that shows the magnitude of what something has caused.
Houses blown off their foundations, roofs blown off, stuff laying everywhere.
You want the most compelling video, the most emotional sequences you can find. Not only what's going on, but people reacting to it.
You have to stop and realize these people have just had their lives torn apart. And they may not be thinking the first thing on their mind is, I want to talk to a reporter. So just treat those kind of situations like you would if it happened to you.
If you see like emergency workers coming in, like cops, ambulance, police, fire, that kind of stuff, you want to get that kind of indication of like the level of the emergency.
Get 30 seconds of the tornado and then get somewhere and feed it. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're going to use, and particularly for the cable networks, they want it sooner.
People, reactions, close.
Yeah, so that was an example of what we have so far, and then eventually we're going to be putting this into an organized video that hopefully someone will be able to use to really get some good video of something that happened. So, yeah. Thank you for listening.
Some questions? Questions for the Mobile Video DIY team. And again, if you have a question, please use the microphone for our folks who are watching the live stream.
I guess one of the questions that people might have is, what is the problem, if there are so many YouTube videos out there, if there are lots of things, there are lots of how-tos out there, what does do-it-yourself video do, or what will do-it-yourself video do that these other things that are already out there can't do for people?
I can answer that. I think that the main difference is going to be that these are journalism focused. So you can find any video on the internet that will teach you technically how to use your iPhone. So obviously you want it to be horizontal, you don't want it to be vertical. But these, because they're topic focused, are going to be a lot better as far as telling people this is what you need. Because I know when I was a beginning photographer, I made a lot of silly mistakes when I was covering even spot news. And so this is going to focus on those things that specifically beginner photographers need to know.
Yeah, and we're interviewing some really top professionals in the field, so I think the information we're getting is great advice to give to average or citizen journalists. So it's good information, and I think it'll benefit a lot more than just your regular average YouTube videos.
Wouldn't it be also true that you're aiming this service not at the person who just sort of stumbles upon a news story, because they're not going to be then watching tutorials to figure out in the moment, but citizen journalists who are actively engaged with a news organization, right?
Yeah, and it's obvious through the platforms we looked at, like CNI Report, there are a lot of committed citizen journalists who want to do this, and I think by watching these videos, people just get better and better at reporting on their own.
Yeah, I was going to say also Mike Wheeler is kind of imagining a situation where stations would have little packs that would have a tripod and a light fixture for an iPhone. And then if they couldn't send somebody, someone could go kind of check out that equipment, watch this video, and then go ahead and cover something. So it would be a more organized situation, I guess.
So I was just going to ask, I think you started to answer it a little bit, but how do you intend to make these videos available and distribute them to those active citizen journalists?
We're going to be putting them on the RJI's website, and then Mike Wheeler eventually wants to build an app that would have not only these videos, but also a directory of news agencies that use this kind of content and the best way to contact them to give them your video.